We're here with another Couch Chat with John, our mortgage expert, and we've been talking a lot about mortgage stuff, from pre-approvals to realtors to, well, you name it, if it's got something to do with the mortgage process. So this episode, or this video, if you will, is going to be talking about, after the pre-approval, what's next. So obviously step one after you're pre-approved is hopefully that you're going to find a house. Might take a little bit more time than you expected, or maybe you already had something in mind. But we're going to skip ahead to the part where you found a house, you've made an offer, and that offer was accepted. Now what? So can you explain to our members what that process looks like after that?
Yeah, the main thing I think that you've got to make sure is that your lender gets a copy of that contract, the fully executed contract, the one that you've signed and the one that the seller has signed. Usually your realtor, or I should say your real estate agent, will send that along to the lender. But we have seen instances where somehow that gets lost in the shuffle. And sometimes on a for sale by owner situation, somebody thinks they've been pre-approved and somehow they think we get a copy of the contract from somebody. But we've got to make sure that your lender gets a copy of the contract. That's number one. And then your lender and your real estate agent, if you have a real estate agent involved, will guide you through the process. The lender drives the bus for a lot of this. So the first thing that you want to do is get that contract and get that application updated. If it's been a while since you've been pre-approved, your lender is going to need updated bank statements, updated pay stubs. And if there's been any change in employment or assets, we've seen people get pre-approved, have the money in the bank, and go spend their down payment money. And then what do? You know, we've gotten into some, so I say once you get pre-approved, everything has to be stabilized. Don't get your credit checked too much. If you got to buy a car, you got to buy a car, but you got to let your lender know, because that could impact the approval status. But back to the key things is get the contract to the lender, and then right away the lender is going to start ordering a whole lot of things and getting a whole lot of things in the air. You're going to have to sign that application. We're going to order an appraisal. We're going to order title work. A lot of things going on. So I know I'm getting a little ahead here.
That's okay.
Go ahead. I just wanted to tee that off as to that starts the process, the contract, get the contract to us.
Yeah. So no, you're right. You teed us up quite perfectly for the next question. So you got the accepted offer, you've got the contract to you or whoever. You talked about appraisals, you talked about inspections. What are all those things that happen up to closing and the exchange of keys? Your
lender is going to order the appraisal. That's nothing that you can or need to be involved in. And your lender is usually going to ask for some sort of application fee or appraisal deposit fee. It can be $300, it can be $500. You should see that money credited at the end, however, toward those costs, those upfront costs. But the lender will order the appraisal, and the appraiser you will not be in the loop on that, although you will receive a copy of the appraisal, and you alone will receive a copy of the appraisal. It does not go to the seller, and it does not go to the realtor. It's not anybody's appraisal but yours. So let's say the house appraises for $10,000 more than you're buying it for. Three people are going to know that. Me, you, and the appraiser. Okay. So the appraisal is, even though we order and take care of it, it's going to go to you, and then that's fundamental to the purchase transaction, to make sure that the value is there, the down payment is calculated properly, and that the home is in good shape and meets all the standards of a conventional or FHA or whatever the loan program is. A home inspection is different. This is where a lot of people get a little confused. Home inspection is up to you. I'm not going to order it. I don't want one, and I don't want to copy the one that you order if you get one. We do recommend it, especially on a home that's greater than 20 years old. That assures you of the integrity of the systems and that the house is in fundamentally good shape. Otherwise, I think you're taking a little bit of a risk not having somebody crawling around in the attic, crawling around the basement, checking out the furnace, checking out the water heater and the foundation, and making sure that it's all up to speed. That home inspection is very critical, but it's not important to your lender, believe it or not. We're going to be satisfied if we get a good appraisal.
Okay. Perfect. So you have talked about a lot of stuff that happens kind of in the process, but there's some other stuff that we don't want to see happen from the time that you have made an offer and are pre-approved to the time that you are closing on that mortgage. What are some of those things? You outlined
Yeah.
couple earlier, but can you talk a little bit
Well,
more
I think
detail?
the key things are we don't want to see any change in your credit profile or any change in your income or any change in your assets. Unless you've got plenty of down payment money in multiple accounts. We have, again, as I've mentioned earlier, we've seen people spend a part of or all of, in some cases, their down payment money. They thought they were pre-approved, they're good to go. It's time to buy the house. Where'd the money go? So you want to, once you're pre-approved, you want to keep that bank account or wherever that money is coming from stable. You want to keep your credit profile stable. You shouldn't be out applying for additional items, credit cards or loans. If you want to wait until that loan is closed, then go to Best Buy or wherever you're going to get your appliances or furniture from, it's really not a good idea to take on any debt prior to the closing of the mortgage loan. And then, of course, if there's a change in income, we've seen situations where people get laid off or they change jobs. You've got to let your lender know right away so that we can assess that and determine whether or not we can keep going.
Perfect. I can only imagine how deflating that would be for a potential buyer to end up having everything fall through because of something like that. So don't let that be you. Listen to this guy, and if you've got other questions about the mortgage process, John's your guy to ask. So thanks for tuning in for another Couch Chat. John, thanks for being here again.
You're welcome. Thank you.